that I'm wearing this button, and I thought about it at some time. And it is meant as no offense to the supporters of Elizabeth Warren, who in most years I would be supporting and thinking was one of the better presidential candidates I had ever supported, or if there happen to be any, to supporters of Tulsi Gabbard, whose insistence on arguing on sanity and foreign policy is commendable, however far she goes or doesn't go in this race. Being willing to say, it's not actually a bad thing to talk to the enemy. Peace is made between enemies, if you haven't considered that in the past. And it is a statement of partisanship, because I do think Bernie Sanders has changed everything in American politics, and I think it's an opportunity that's once in a lifetime. There didn't have to be. There didn't even have to be that one time in a lifetime. But above all, I'm wearing the thing as a simpler perspective. That whatever happens in this race in March or November, this is the race that really matters. And what we do is relatively minor to the big one. Obviously, as I said, we have, I think, a unique opportunity, and of course, we have the most unbelievable goings on in Washington. I mean, just any of us could sputter the same. Enough said. Okay, so why run against Nancy Pelosi? Well, imagine, if you will, that a congressional candidate were to come along and propose to run for Congress in San Francisco. And that candidate said that she wasn't a big fan of Medicare for All. And in referring to the Green New Deal, she said, the Green Dream, or whatever they call it. And she supported increases in the military budget. I suspect a lot of people would tell that candidate that she might want to look for a different district. The fact is that candidate has been representing this district for 32 years. And people look the other way. For all of her achievements, and they're considerable. First female speaker, came back a second time, the leading Democratic voice against Donald Trump. For all of the things that she does well, one thing she does not do well is represent this district.
She stammers.
That too. For instance, now I'm going to stammer. Put that in my mouth. But this would never happen today. And one of the goals of any campaign against her is to get people to confront that, whether you can win or lose, to get people to look at the fact that, well, yeah, these things matter. It isn't enough to be against Donald Trump. We have to be able to unite on the things that we agree on, but fight on the things we don't agree on at the same time. We don't have time. The planet doesn't have time, if you will, to just get somebody somewhat better than Trump, then we move on from there. All of these things have to be tackled at the same time. So that is fundamentally, I think, the reason for one runs against her. I think it should happen all the time if there are people willing and able to do it. Medicare for All, among the issues I mentioned that she's off on, at this point in this room, I probably would be preaching to the choir. This city voted in favor of single-payer health care in 1994. The only county in the state to do it, and yet the federal representative has never seen fit to file the federal bill. And you all know we get a lot of, well, we can't go too fast, that's part of her shtick on this, don't do it all at once, gradually, etc. Let me just say that gradualism is a reality. Gradualism, however, is not a position. Gradualism is a result of compromise. You don't enter into an issue that needs to be solved immediately because there are millions of people lacking health care and say, we'll fix it gradually. You enter into the fray on that with immediately. If it comes out that you can't get immediately, okay. But we have seen that, we saw that in all of the debate that has gone on over changing national healthcare situation from Obama on before. Move half the way to the opposition before you start arguing. That is just, I mean, anybody should know that, whoever negotiates it. Somehow, the leading Democrats have failed to get that memo. And we had a very good talk here the other night from Hillary Ronan at the Democratic Club about the mental health situation and the new program in San Francisco. And the description of the program was great, that there would be people on call. You know, you walk around the city and you see a person out of it if you go 6 blocks. I mean, it's really shocking. But the point that you made, bottom line, is this is a national problem. You know, we have all the debate about homelessness, understandably, but you know, it's not the mayor's fault. It's not the police fault. It is a national issue, as is the mental health situation on our streets. As far as the Green New Deal, which has not impressed the speaker at all, what has impressed me is how far it's gotten in terms of congressional sponsorship and into the national consciousness so rapidly. I mean, it's not close to passing, obviously. It doesn't have majority sponsorship, but to get that far that quick says to me a great deal about the level of awareness in this country, even within Congress, which is the last place to show awareness in many cases. You know, it used to be when people talked about global consciousness, they were sort of talking about their latest acid trip or the really good hop they got, and you know, but kids grow up with it now. Kids believe all that stuff that they heard in school that you should recycle, etc. And you know, as people widely know now, the secret of Bernie Sanders' success with the young voters last time was primarily on that. When asked which was the major threat to national security, one of the debates, he said climate change. Nancy Pelosi again hasn't gotten that memo. What is impressive, again, is the degree to which people understand the interconnectedness in a way that they did not